Welcome to Alpha Marketing, your go-to resource for unlocking the full potential of your small to medium-sized business. Hosted by Aaron Shishilla, CEO of WolfPack Advising. Now, let's learn how to dominate your market.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Marketing Alpha, the podcast where we help small business owners and marketers dominate their market. I'm Aaron, and today we're talking about how to build a marketing engine that runs without you, one that doesn't die when you take a vacation, sleep in, or focus on your bigger vision. Another one, or a marketing engine that other people can run, and it can just continuously bring in leads and more business for your company. So, let's start. Here's the truth. If your business relies on you to generate every lead, send every single email, and write every single advertisement, then you don't have a business. You have a job that you're working to just generate more and more leads, more and more business. Our goal here today is to outline and draft a marketing engine for your company so that way it can just run without you and your business can grow without you. So today I'll break down the 5 core components of an automated marketing engine, not only that works, but can scale further. And I'm not talking about fluff here. I'm going to give you real stats. I'm going to give you real information. I'm going to tell you what I do at a marketing agency and how we've achieved so much growth recently, as well as what we implement for every other company that comes to us, whether they're a home service company or a therapist or a doctor or an attorney, whoever it is, it's all the same. Some of the medium of the content obviously changes, and sometimes we get a little bit creative, but it's all the same. So let's set the stage here. Businesses with an automated lead nurturing strategy generate at least 500% more qualified leads compared to those without them, according to a recent study. And yet only 50% of companies say they're using some form of marketing automation system. Can you absolutely believe that? The companies that are nurturing their leads, that have strategies, that are implementing these different marketing automation systems generate 500% more qualified leads than those that aren't. And only half of companies are actually doing it. So if you're not, or you don't have some type of CRM or marketing automation system or marketing engine, you're leaving so many qualified leads on the table. That's a huge gap. And this is the opportunity that we're talking about today. So let's define the engine and define the different parts. The first part is we need to capture the lead wherever that is. And we're going to do that through tons of different sources, all right? It's going to get a little bit messy here, but stick with me. So some examples of this could be your website forms, it could be chat widgets, it could be website pop-ups, it could be landing pages, lead magnets, anything that is essentially a form. And the centralized place for that, to make it super easy and condensed, is your website. It starts with your website, and it starts with some form on your website, and using all different types of forms and all different types of offerings for where people are in their given stage of a purchasing process. For example, if you're a pest control company or a home inspection company, people might be just looking for information at the beginning about how to do their own pest control or things to look out for if they're purchasing a home, right? So maybe we want to incentivize those people with saying, hey, we'll give you a free DIY guide or a free guide of things to look out for if you're purchasing a home. And that is just to capture the lead information, but they're not quite ready to make a purchase. But we'll get back to all that stuff later. We're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. The second point here is we need a CRM and data infrastructure system. This is where ActiveCampaign comes in, HubSpot comes in, all of those details. Now, I want to make it a point here because I get this so much, especially in the home service space and a lot of other industries. There are specific softwares out there for those individual industries, such as in home service, you have like tons of different like Service Titan or whatever else. In home inspections, you have Inspection Support Network, ISN. You have Spectora as another one. You have Field Routes if you're in pest control. There's all these different types of systems that are usually geared towards like running your office and running your team, running your company. It does your payment processing. It does everything. Just be careful of getting into that trap where you believe that is a marketing automation system, because I want to reiterate what we're talking about here is marketing automation and a CRM system to nurture your leads before they actually become a transaction. And a lot of those systems are transactional based, not about managing relationships. So we're talking about managing relationships here, whereas it's completely different. We're talking about ActiveCampaign, which is a marketing automation software. We're talking about a HubSpot, which is a CRM, or some type of familiarity between the two. Those are the two ones that I typically recommend. ActiveCampaign being better for smaller companies, and HubSpot being better for if you're like a mid-market company, just because there's a little bit more complexity to there. It's going to cost a lot more money, but there's more complexity there. All right, moving on from that. So once we have a CRM or data infrastructure system, we need to build the automations and nurture flows within it and connect all of our little pieces to gather all of the data. So we're going to build a really nice website, have a bunch of lead capture systems and forms, make sure they're converting highly, send it over to our CRM system or our data infrastructure system, and marketing or do our automated marketing through those systems and make sure they're converting well. Now, finally, we get into the other pieces, the content engine. The content engine is all about generating more content, more information for your particular company, so then that way we can get our views up, our impressions up, our readers up, our users up, all that information, bringing tons of eyes and brand awareness over to our website and our company. Then we're going to rely on the lead capture systems we talked about earlier to capture that information. There's contacts that are actually interested in the information. And that's going to be sent over to our marketing automated system. The final piece, when you have like the YouTube videos, the content writing, all that stuff is all about traffic generation after that. It's about tracking how many users are collecting over to your website. This could be from advertising. This could be from SEO efforts. It could be anything related to building traffic or more further brand awareness. So don't just build this engine and expect traffic. We need to also build the engine and actually build that traffic too. All right, so that was kind of a quick overview of defining the engine in the different parts. As I mentioned, it's going to start with your website. You're going to have some lead capture systems. You're going to choose a CRM and data infrastructure system, build out your automation and your nurture flows, and then finally, you're going to have your content and traffic generation engines. Now, after you have those pieces in place, it's important when I'm talking about all this stuff, creating a Google Doc or even an audio doc as I'm talking about here and just pausing it to create a little voice note for yourself of all the things you need to remember. Just write this all down in a document so that way you could start there and writing down your different ideas and brainstorming. This is just getting all of our ideas and thoughts onto a piece of paper. From there, we need to actually put it into practice in a system and replace ourself or whoever with somebody else doing it. So we need to document every marketing task that you do and use tools to replace some of the items that could be replicated. So a big thing right now is like obviously using ChatGPT or Grok is one of my favorite ones right now. I just think some of the answers in there are a little bit better. Of course, you can use Claude AI, which is really good for content writing too right now. But any of those AI tools to help you draft initial concepts or get different creative ideas is really good idea as well. But then we're also talking about using tools like Zapier, of course, to automate some of our stuff. What I would really highly recommend here is build out a system within a project management software, such as ClickUp. A ClickUp system is going to be able to organize your entire marketing engine. So you can create a space or a folder or a list for every activity. So for example, you can create a list or a section for just advertising, just email newsletters, just web design, just your SEO efforts, just your social media post efforts. If you do a podcast or anything like that, you can have that within there. You could keep a database of your lead magnets, a place to centralize and organize your marketing engine where it's actually going to live, right? It doesn't live in thoughts. It needs to live in an actual system and actual documentation and actually live in some sort of practice so we can get it going. Can't just live in like a CRM. That's not where it's going to live. Going back here and just talking about everything that we've kind of discussed, you're going to draft out your ideas for your marketing engine and then choose some type of project management software in order to document everything out in all the different pieces. As I mentioned earlier, I really recommend a ClickUp. That's actually going to keep the pace going for your marketing engine. Like when you need to write new content, a new blog post, when you're writing a new email newsletter, right? The CRM is going to do it, but you need to have teams or somebody in place that is actually writing that and doing that for you. So for a marketing agency, for example, when we onboard a new client and a new client comes to us, we have a ClickUp list for every activity that we do. Advertising, SEO, social media, content writing, email newsletters, whatever it is, we have a list and a process and an SOP for that and an exact task list of everything that needs to happen. And then they actually marry together. So what happens is if a social media post goes out, our team is communicating and we have automations in place to where they start cross-posting and then sharing that content and those ideas. And that's what we do essentially for the companies when they onboard with us. And your company needs to look the same for your marketing engine and how we're building this out is you need to have the same kind of process. All right, let's forward on to a real life example here with like some other marketing engine and what it looks like. In this case, I'm going to use the example of a pest control company and what we would do for a pest control company and what it would look like. So the first step is we need to start with our web design. The web design is super important, can't be ignored. I know it could be something that is like really costly. So don't feel like you need to just redo your entire web design in every case. Usually this is something like I would really recommend it if your website is really outdated. But imagine it like your virtual office or a physical office, right? When you have people come in, you want it to be warm, welcoming, inviting, all that stuff. Your web design needs to be the same thing. It's a virtual physical office, right? So you need to have people excited to be there and be like, oh, this is pleasant, this is warm and welcoming. Same vibes for your website, especially on mobile. More users, over 50% of users now are using the mobile devices to browse and landing on your website. So it needs to be mobile first when we think about that. All right, moving on from the website and the web design. Your design needs to have different sections to capture leads and put them in the CRM. So from your website, you're going to have people who are sales ready, interested in a quote, and then you're going to have to build a content system to nurture people who are not quite ready yet. So those are first and foremost people that are sales qualified, people that are ready to get an estimate, ready to schedule. That's our schedule, that's our call, that's our whatever. That's our sales qualified stuff. But then we need to have lead capture systems for people that are marketing qualified or people that aren't quite ready but are good for nurturing. Those lead capture systems are going to head over to our CRM as well and be marked as a marketing qualified lead. Somebody that's not quite ready yet, but could be eventually and could be sales qualified in the future. That's where the content system and content engine and the lead generation is so important. So the lead captures capture all that and exchange it. So for example, if I'm a pest control company, in this case, we're going to come up with some website pop-ups with DIY information and a discount code that goes for through the CRM and automates our nurturing follow-ups and does like a sales check. So maybe somebody's actually calling them or somebody's emailing them and saying, hey, I saw you got our discount code. I saw you got our DIY information. I just wanted to check in with you and see if that's something you want to continue doing on your own. That's totally fine. If not, if I could send somebody out and kind of give you a quote to see what it would look like to take care of your pest control for your house, right? That is the type of system we're talking about here. And then from the step further, the last piece of this is we need our content engine and our lead generation engine. This is where we implement strategies like advertising, getting more leads into place. This is where we're doing PPC, like Google search ads, local service ads, and SEO to generate more leads that are ready. And we're keeping them in our CRM to convert later. This is where we're using blogs, and maybe we start with just one per month where we talk about like, hey, the top 5 changes to pest control coming to Orlando, Florida, or things to look out for, or new products coming out in the market, or the top 5 pest control issues we see in Orlando, Florida, whatever it is. Keep it hyper local and information ready towards your local particular market because that's who we're writing for and want to attract to our website. We don't want to talk about nationwide stuff. We don't want to talk about big topics. We need to want to talk about our local area and how they need to take care of their individual lawn. The lawn that is going to be in Phoenix is going to be totally different, as well as the pests are going to be totally different than what's going to be in Miami, for example. All right. Then we're going to use that content or those blogs, and we're going to translate that over to our monthly newsletters. We're going to translate that over to our nurturing system, and we're going to use other systems as well, other marketing strategies to pair with it. So social media posts, maybe we're doing podcasting like this one. Maybe we have reviews and we highlight those on our social media posts. So it's all about marrying and cross-posting all of our different content generating ideas to bring in more leads, more brand awareness, to get them over to our website, give them the marketing qualified information that they want in exchange for their contact information, and then hold them and nurture them until they're sales qualified and ready. All right, let's segue over to our last 2 sections here. one point I really want to drive home here is a big trap that a lot of owners get into is their own ego and thinking that they're the best at writing, selling, or explaining what's going on with their individual company. I totally get that, and I definitely resonate with that as the owner of the marketing agency. However, we need to find the right people that are going to be able to capture what we have in our heads and our vision and what we're shooting for to be able to replicate it and have it in a process and a documentation so that way it could just run without us and generate the leads. If you ever want to sell, exit, or even just take a long weekend or a holiday, I actually just posted this on my own social media about the importance of taking a vacation. So if you're not following me, go ahead and give me a follow. But the business has to run without you, and we need to implement that within your individual company too. All right, that was just my little spiel before I get to the last section, which is how we need to actually go about the blueprint for your company and implement this marketing engine. First, we need to audit where you're currently at. Do you have any current bottlenecks, and what pieces have I mentioned at the defining the engine parts, or the parts of the engine? What parts do you don't have? What parts do you need, and what parts need to be revisited, such as your CRM? Do you have a CRM? First, audit what you have in terms of the marketing engine. What pieces do you have? And then take it to step two. Step two is we need to actually fix and start connecting pieces. So if you don't have the project management software, we need to put that on our list. If we don't have the CRM, we need to put that on our list. If we need to, hey, we have a good CRM, but it needs refreshing for the marketing automation or the nurturing part, put that on your list. All of that stuff, take initial audit, and then make a list of things you need to start improving in terms of everything that I kind of talked about within this. The final thing from this and the final step is get started. Get started with something and your content engine and build the traffic over. Track the traffic going to your website over time. Make sure that's increasing. Track the conversions of those people that are landing on your site that are actually sending over to MQLs. Make sure that's increasing. And then track the sales qualifieds. Make sure that is increasing over time. If those aren't increasing over time, the traffic, the MQLs, or the sales qualifieds, your marketing engine is messed up and there's something wrong there. All right. So audit what you currently have. Make an action plan, deliver on that action plan, and start tracking those reports to see traffic, MQLs, and sales qualified leads. For you and your individual company, I'm talking about MQLs and sales qualified leads and stuff like that, like it's marketing lingo or anything. It's nothing really crazy. If you want to change the language or the acronym, that's totally cool too. You don't have to use marketing qualified or sales qualified leads. It's kind of like marketing speak. All right. Now let's wrap up and just end here with some actions. First, we need to map your lead to close journey, identify where the issues are and where you need to implement these changes, and then start replacing yourself with automation or delegation. The sooner you build this engine, the sooner you're going to get your time back and be able to focus on other things. A little quote to end on: if your business can't run without you, then you don't own a business, you own a job. And I mentioned that earlier, and I want you guys to really take this home for this particular podcast. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. If you have comments, questions, concerns, have an idea for another podcast, or maybe you're a marketing expert and you want to jump in on this podcast, feel free to comment. Let me know. Thanks. See you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to Alpha Marketing. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other business owners and marketers. Your support enables us to continue bringing you actionable advice and the tools you need to thrive. Join us next time for more insights with Aaron Shishilla, and keep striving to be the alpha in your market.